Hey guys, welcome back to this week's poll here on Comic Relief Cast. I'm your host, Jake.
And I'm Josh. Hey Jake, got a quick question for you.
Are we really doing this again?
No, we're not going to do it. It's new year, new what?
And guys, before we get started, we want to say the last video we uploaded actually yesterday, recorded on the 4th, was the best and worst comics of 2018. So if you guys want to know our opinions, some stuff that you might want to look into from last year, definitely make sure to check that out. It should be the last video uploaded here on the channel. And before we get started on this week's poll, we do want to say that we're only going over 5 issues today, but that doesn't mean there isn't other comic books that we wanted to read or that we will read. We're just not going to go over them today. Today we're just going to go over the ones that people might be more curious about picking up, because the other ones are ongoing series, and I think as far as those go, you know whether or not you want to keep with them.
It's already established.
Right. So you know, Thor came out, Punisher came out,
Avengers
came out. If you're already collecting these issues, you know whether or not you're going to keep getting them. We would love to talk about them. We just don't have the time to read and talk about them.
And also there's a Marvel Presents #3, the first Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, the facsimile.
Facsimile. It was really cool.
Yeah, but on this week's episode, what we are going to be going over is Captain Marvel, #1, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, #1, Star Wars Age of Republic, Jango Fett, #1, Web of Venom, Venom Unleashed, #1, Man Without Fear, #2, and Miles Morales, Spider-Man, #2. Getting right into it, Captain Marvel, #1 by Kelly Thompson and Carmen Carnero. I will tell you one thing, that Amanda Conner cover is absolute garbage. So I would say don't judge a book by its cover here, because that is a shit cover. But anyway, Josh, what were your thoughts on Captain Marvel #1?
It was for issue #1, it kind of is a mediocre issue. It doesn't do anything really to kind of pull you in, to get you excited to kind of want to read the next one. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great, and it wasn't good. Kelly Thompson usually does some great work, and as I said, every writer has that one book that's going to end up being a little bit of a flop, or one that's not as good as the rest of their work, and this is definitely one of those. It's right there for me. It's just a mediocre issue. I feel like it might end up being a forgettable Captain Marvel run.
Yeah, I don't know if this issue is anything to go by. I don't see anything stellar coming out of it. Hopefully this first arc gets knocked out, and Kelly Thompson can get on track with the better story, but I'm not really feeling what this is laying out, this is putting down. You got some interactions with Stark I really wasn't a fan of. There was some stuff with the villain in this I really wasn't a fan of. Overall, it's okay. There are some good moments between her and Rhodes that are like going back to Civil War II. I think those are some good interactions.
And going back to the Captain Marvel, higher, faster, stronger. I think that's not the right one.
And then it also kind of references Life of Captain Marvel, that 5-issue series that just wrapped up not too long ago. But what I will say is that also this series doesn't seem to be taking place in line with the rest of the Marvel series that are out right now. It seems to be taking place before the Avengers series comes out, which I think that's a weird thing to do, but it is whatever.
Yeah, I mean, they do that sometimes. So.
Right. So, Josh, would you like to unveil our rating system for this?
Oh, I get to. Ooh. All right, our rating scale comes from Miles Morales Spider-Man, Sleuthing Skills, and I give this one a 2.55.
All right, I'm going a little
Sleuthing
lower.
Skills.
I'm going 2.2 Sleuthing Skills. Moving on to the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man by Tom Taylor, and I forget who the artist is on this book. It is Juan Cabal. And I will say, guys, if you can, I've got it up on the screen for you. Get that Art Germ Spider-Man cover. It is a gorgeous looking cover.
Yeah.
First time Art Germ has put out an actual Spider-Man cover.
I think so.
Yeah.
I feel like there might have been one other one that he did like a special for another shop or something, but I think this is the first one that's definitely not like an incentive.
Right. This is not an incentive issue. This is just a variant issue you should be able to pick up. There should be no upcharge on it. But anyway, moving on. Tom Taylor, he's a good writer. I've liked all the stuff that I've read by him so far. But again, this is a bit of a subpar book. I don't say it's bad. It's not bad. It's good. It's well written. It's done well. Spider-Man feels like Spider-Man. But the thing is, it doesn't have anything that I feel is fresh or new to offer from Spider-Man. I honestly don't see the reason that they're putting this out. It is running congruently with Amazing Spider-Man.
And it's also referencing things that it's going on in Amazing Spider-Man as well.
Right.
Yeah. I once again, like Life of Captain Marvel, to me, this just seems kind of like a mediocre kind of issue. Not saying it's bad, not saying it's great. I'm just saying it's a decent book. The ending does have me a little bit curious for the second part of the story, because there's 2 parts to this story. The second part has me a little bit more intrigued than the first part, but for the most part, I mean, it's not. I wasn't mad that I read it, but I wasn't like it didn't blow my hair back.
Right, and with it being a $4.99 issue, to me
And
that
a
is
number one.
And a number one, it is a little bit of a don't really want to pick this up to read it, but for the Artgerm cover, that's the main reason I'm picking this book up. I think it's worth it, but I also do get a nice discount on the book as well. But I would say that if you guys are happy with the Amazing Spider-Man that's going on, or even if you're reading Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man, this doesn't seem like a necessary Spider-Man read. But if you are somebody who's new to collecting Marvel, or you want a Spider-Man series to jump on, this isn't a bad one to jump on. Peter Parker does feel in character, but nothing about it is standing out to me, and that's my biggest issue with it.
Two things for this book where I feel like someone who would want to pick this up. If you're a big Spider-Man fan, or you're someone who just watched Spider-Verse and you want to read Spider-Man, you want to jump in, and it's a good time to jump in, this would be a good book to pick up. The other thing too is I feel like the concepts in this book is not too big for a younger reader to get to, so I feel like this would actually be good for a younger reader, a kid that's probably like 8, 9, 10 years old.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep going down the list.
Like even younger. 12,
yeah. And I'm not saying
12
that
or
it's
14.
made for a young audience. I'm just saying that like with Nick Spencer's and like Dan Slott's, a lot of it has a lot of big ideas that might go a little over some small kids like heads. This one might be a good little jumping on spot.
Yeah, I would say for a younger audience, this wouldn't be a bad book. For me, I'd much prefer The Amazing Spider-Man to this one. So far, I will keep reading the next couple issues, see how it fleshes itself out, but other than the second story in the back, which is probably 6 or 7 pages, which is easily the best part of the book.
Oh yeah, even the art's better.
Yeah, that's the selling point, but for me, the real selling point is that Artgerm variant. Without that, I probably wouldn't have bought this book.
Same.
So for me, with taking into consideration this cover, taking into consideration the price point and what this book had to offer for me, I'm going to give this one 2.6 sleuthing skills.
I'm actually at 2.6 sleuthing skills.
All right, I'm going to move on to Star Wars Age of Republic Jango Fett #1. It's by Jody Hauser. He's been doing all the Age of Republic one-shots. He's done the Darth Maul, Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think there was one more. I can't remember right now. But this one is focused on Jango Fett, and the art is by Luke Ross. This is a fun little book. It's pretty much in keeping with the other things that have been coming out from Age of Republic. It's Jango Fett doing one quick mission. He's having Boba Fett tail him, talking about how this is how you build a reputation and a legacy, and how he wants to pass it on to Boba Fett. The one thing I did take away from it is that this feels like what people want from Boba Fett, as in like, oh yeah, this showcases Boba Fett better than any of the original trilogy did. So with that, I'm gonna give this one 2.6 sleuthing skills. It's right around the same spot for me with the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Okay, so I read Web of Venom, Venom Unleashed. If you guys have read Venom #9, you know that Eddie Brock cannot attach himself to the symbiote anymore. The symbiote will not allow him. The symbiote has been taking a form of like this like pit bull dog, which I don't quite understand why exactly it does that, but it does. And this is written by Ryan Stegman, who is normally an artist, and the art and pencils is done by Kyle Hotz and Juan Gideon. And for the most part, there's no dialogue in this book, so it's kind of hard to follow what's going on.
That's probably why Stegman wrote it.
Yeah, right. And you're just pretty much following the Venom symbiote, and he's hunting down these worms, pretty much. It's supposed to tie in. It's kind of like that Carnage Reborn. It's supposed to tie in and kind of be like a companion for the Venom run and where it's supposed to be going. But it just doesn't do anything. It almost felt like it was a little bit of pointless to read it, even though there was not that much to read. With this all being said, I'm going to give this book I'll give it 2 just because the art wasn't bad at times. I'll give it 2 sleuthing skills.
All right, moving on to Man Without Fear, issue #2. This is following the death of Matt Murdock. Issue 1 I thought was a really great issue. We didn't get a chance to review it, but I really did.
Yeah, it was good.
I really loved Man Without Fear #1. So we're going on #2. It's written by Jed MacKay. The art's done by Stefano Landini. So basically, the first issue was about Foggy Nelson, and he's the one visiting Matt in the hospital. This one has a little bit more of blind spot visiting, as well as Kirsten, his kind of ex-lover from the Mark Waid run, if you remember her. But what I really love about this, it's going to be a 5-issue miniseries. I would recommend picking it up. It's got some great connecting variant covers too, that are the different costumes throughout Daredevil's history. But what I really love about this series so far is that it is a very introspective character study on the character of Matt Murdock. It's him battling with his fear. That fear has actually made human or even a monster, something that he can actually have an interaction with. I really dig that idea. It's the battle happening in Murdoch's head that I really find interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting. The art looks really cool for when he's having these conversations with his fear. And it's very interesting. It's a new kind of like premise and take on Daredevil that you never really thought of ever having to be there. Like, you never really think about, oh, well, like what about his fear? Like, what about that? And I really dig that. I think it's really cool, and I think it's kind of in the cool thing is the embodiment of his fear is a really creepy looking thing, and I love it. Aesthetically, it fits with my whole Dead Man aesthetic and all that stuff. It's great. I do love that.
Yeah, and I love
the one thing I do have a problem with is that the guy that, like, I don't know if this is the same artist that was in the first one, but the way they draw Foggy in this is different than the way they draw him in number one. The way they draw him in this is like the actor that plays Foggy in the TV show, but in butterfly effect.
Yeah, in this issue actually, Matt looks a little bit more like
Charlie Cox.
Charlie Cox
yeah.
too. What I really like though is in the first issue, they use this theme, that the idea that the reason Matt has no fear is because he's always used his pain to push the fear down.
Yeah.
It's not that the fear was absent completely. It's just he always used all the pain of loss in his life to push it away, and now it's bubbling back up to the surface now that he's just kind of a broken man. I'm really loving it. I'm really excited to see what happens with the No Fear that comes out. KNOW.
The covers look awesome.
They have some great looking covers.
That's the other thing too that needs to be said. Kyle Hotz does the regular covers for this, and they are great looking covers.
They are really good looking covers. And my one thing to take away from this book that I wasn't too keen on, it was that the entire time I wasn't really sure who was narrating this specific issue.
I knew it was going to, and you find out. I'm not going to spoil who it is, but yeah, you end up finding out.
Right, but I'm just saying, as I was reading it, I didn't know who was narrating, so that was a little bit bothersome.
Yeah, it got a little
to me,
confusing there at times.
For me, I'm going to give this one 3.3 sleuthing skills.
Right, okay, I was at 3.3 as well.
All right, and the last book we're going to go over today is Miles Morales, Spider-Man #2. It's written by Saladin Ahmed, and the art is done by Javier Garron. And as you guys remember, I really loved Miles Morales Spider-Man #1. It's a great issue. I was completely taken aback by it. I didn't expect to like it. I'm not going to lie, that Into the Spider-Verse really added to my love. It really kind of threw some fuel on the fire there for me. This is another really, really strong issue. I don't think I liked it as much as I did Daredevil Man Without Fear, but I really, really like this issue. I thought it was a really strong incorporation. I really, really like the interactions between Miles and Rhino. I think that's some of the best parts of this book, and something I did not expect.
Oh yeah, that's single-handedly the best part about this book. The other thing I really love is that they're keeping up with this whole thing where the narrative that's going on in this book is actually Miles writing in a journal for a class. I think that's really
very smart device.
Yeah, very, very smart device, and it makes sense to the point that you're just like, okay, so he's not just sitting there talking to himself. I love this story. I was worried a little bit after reading the first one that this might be something that's going to be a political thing that's going to be kind of hitting a little too on the nose. This kind of tells me no. It's just going to be a good Spider-Man story, a good Miles Morales story, and I love the interactions with him and Genki. I say his name wrong, I know.
I always say Gonk, but I don't know Gank.
But I really do enjoy this. And one thing I was telling Jake while we were reading this is because I went back just recently and decided to reread the first run of Miles Morales. And one thing I really do enjoy is the artists, even though they have different artists, they have been drawing Miles and Genki to like age properly to how they should be aging, so you don't feel like it's the same, like they're staying the same age throughout the whole time,
right? That they're,
like, or that they're older than what they're supposed to be. It actually fits very well, and I mean I really dig this book. I know I liked it a little bit more than Man Without Fear. Just a little bit more than I did, but I really love the way this book ended too. Yes. It's bringing in a character that I'm really excited to see how he works with Miles, or that character works with Miles, I should say. But with that, I'm going to give this one just under Man Without Fear. I'm going to go 3.2 sleuthing skills. I'm at 3.5 sleuthing skills. All right, guys. Well, that is all we've got for you this week for the Marvel stuff. Again, apologies. We did not read everything. We didn't cover everything, but if you want to know what I'm looking forward to, I'm looking forward very much to reading the new Thor issue and the new Punisher issue, and of course the new Avengers issues. I've been enjoying all three of those. Again, you can check those out on the last video we uploaded, Best and Worst of 2018. You know what? I don't have anything to say. I don't have anything rude to say. All right, well, guys. Come dumpster. Sorry, I had to say something. All right, well, guys, if you have not already, check out the DC one. It should be up here on the channel very soon, and if you already have checked that one out, let us know below what your guys' thoughts on that was, and of course, for this issue, let us know what you guys think about what we went over today.
today. Have you already picked it up? Have you read it? What did you think? Do you feel the same way we did? If you haven't picked it up already, did we dissuade you or persuade you from picking one of these, some of these books up? Let us know in the comments below. Of course, always like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for listening, guys, and we will see you next week.
Love you.